How long have you been on Facebook?
How long have I been on Facebook? I guess almost a year. I don't know. But I'm not doing anything there. I'm not bothering anymore.
Why not?
Why should I? I only have a page where I was putting up there with my traps and chains on that one page. And the other one, which is a timeline, most people weren't interested in the ones that I showed because those were very intelligent, thoughtful things I was putting up there. It wasn't for most people. I said you have to be pretty much a moron to be on Facebook. Interested in simple platitudes, bromides, A little picture, a cat or a dog was perfect, you know? If you showed any interest in a cat or a dog, you had immediately 100 friends. Hmm?
What type of stuff were you sharing?
What was I doing?
Yeah, what stuff
I
were you
was sharing things that were very, very valuable from people they'd never heard of before, but who are really very good. In fact, I found a few people on Facebook who actually had pieces by people I admired and hadn't heard anything of in decades, but who were really valuable to our society and to any society. They had important things to say.
Do you found there was more intelligence on what is it, Quora, or what's that site called?
Or Quora is a different sort of thing. That's where people ask a question and other people answer the question, and some of the little answers or the story itself that was the original question get a lot of attention. And you have to be a certain type to enjoy that sort of thing. It's not, I don't want notoriety in my life. I want to be of service, of value.
Do you feel that on Quora you were getting that more than Facebook?
Yeah, I got a little response to a couple of things I put up there, but I was surprised that most people were more interested in the unusual, the excitement, rather than what was really at the heart of living. There wasn't enough attention on what makes life important and valuable and what you had to do as your part in that. And that was important to me. It's interesting because I've always been a teacher all my life, from probably my earliest beginnings. And the interesting thing that I learned is that it's very true what has been said, that a good teacher has only to be given the right material, and then he could teach anything. Because a good teacher is a good teacher by itself. It's an entity of its own, it's an end in its own. And those who are good teachers can teach anything, providing they have the right information. And that's what my life has been. I've been a teacher in so many different hats, wearing so many different hats, from teaching junior high school to junior high school students, 7th, 8th, ninth grade. I've been a teacher of doctors in hospital after hospital, working in 4 hospitals at the same time, teaching doctors. I've been a teacher of adult education, where it was English as a second language, and that was interesting for a short time, but it wasn't challenging enough. It was too basic. I worked for the federal government. I was picked up and given a job to do of doing creative experiments, and it was extremely interesting, except that the whole thing became a show-off item. Look what we're doing, look what we're doing, look what we're doing. Oh, look what we're doing. And it became so silly that eventually they were trying to get pictures in the center section of the New York Daily News. Just pictures of the children painting fire hydrants, which to me was not creative. It was just giving them an opportunity to paint the fire hydrant.
Don't you think Facebook is kind of like, look what I'm doing,
Well,
and it's not real?
Facebook is a very limited way of people thinking they can make friends, when in reality they're disengaging from the people who really know how to be friends. It's not people who know how to be friends who are there. They're people who want to be friends but don't really know how. It's filled with the wrong kind of people. People who are, shall we say, misbehaving, who don't really know what they need, what they want. They know what they want, but they don't know what they want to do to get there. They don't know what to do. And it's a very, very disengaging effect. It's the fantasy we've talked about before. It's a big fantasy for everybody there that they're going to make connections when in reality they're disengaging from the audience or the people or the relationships they would like to have. Okay, you got it?
Do you quit Facebook once in a while, or like disengage from it from time to time, or
Excuse me?
do you quit Facebook from time to time, or do you stay up to date with it, or what's your?
No, I've given up looking at it for the last couple of months because it's the same sort of people with the same sort of problems and the same sort of thing that will go on in their lives forever unless they do something to make themselves realize what they really need and what they want. Because the people on Facebook are not people who are growing. They only think they're growing. They're going through a mess of things, incredible numbers of things to make friends, to associate with people who have the same interests. As I've said before, put up a picture of a cat or a dog and you'll have 100 friends in no time. Because that's simple. It's easy. It's being in love with animals. And the easiest animal is a common pet. The most common pet, great. Unusual pet, that's also great, but for a different audience. It's for people who love pets.
Could you have imagined a Facebook in like 1945?
I think that you're talking about the era at the time when I was 10 years old.
Or let's say 55 then, when you're like
Okay,
20.
55. When I was 20 years old, I can't imagine it because there was really no computer in my life. It didn't exist until later when I found that what they now call a cult machine, which was an Amiga with an A, not an O. The O was a PC. But the Amiga, which is now considered a very important machine among people who want to be very creative. And it was really a wonderful machine for that. And then I became interested in the computer. Before that, I wasn't interested in the computer at all because it was a limited thing. It was very limiting.
So could you imagine interacting with all your friends at 20 years old with a computer instead of in real life?
No, I enjoyed the face-to-face. Face-to-face was something that most people today are not used to anymore. Just like telephone conversations. We always considered a good telephone conversation a visit, a real visit. Today, I don't think anybody would look at a telephone conversation as a visit, except for a few friends who are in the advanced age group that I would be classified as.
But you talk to people, right, with Facebook?
Oh, yes, I talk to people, but it's happened before that people want to talk to me on the telephone. And I have a conversation on the telephone, which is totally different from speaking to them on Facebook or messaging. Because there's a chance to have the interaction just with a telephone conversation. I'm sure you could do that on your computer itself anyway.
Do you think that's going to change society? Everybody interacting with computer screens?
I don't know about that. I do think that people are moving in a direction that was written about as far back as 1907 and came on, and other people did it too, and other writers wrote about it too. But of people disconnecting so much that they began to eat alone more, began to entertain themselves alone more, began not to interact with people. And in even the novels done by some very famous writers, when they got together to have a baby. They didn't get together to have a great conversation. That didn't exist. No longer. And people getting more and more isolated. Well, they did to a little bit of an extent with the telephone, but most people didn't. Most people used it as a way to connect better. Not everybody.
Are you familiar with emojis?
No.
That's like the new form of communication. Have you ever heard about them?
I saw the name, but I'm not familiar with it at all. That's all.
They're like the little icons, like pictures of happy faces, or they have tons of them.
Oh yeah, I've seen those happy faces in pictures of somebody extending hands to somebody. I've seen a few of those.
Do you text or you just message people?
I've only used messages. I don't text at all because I don't even have a smartphone to do it.
Could you imagine yourself
No, texting doesn't interest me because that's a big part of disconnecting. Uh, People who text, I often ask them, what do you find annoying about texting? And I get answers like hearing somebody talk about the dress they're looking at, or what they bought, or something that they used that is of no interest to me whatsoever.
So you value human to human.
Human to human is a much better way because I like body language. And when I see somebody who's talking to me, I get much more of a message across and to me, the same thing, both ways. Because usually the people I converse with very much, they're the people who have a lot of body language.